Donald Trump got caught on tape doing something that shouldn't surprise me. It really shouldn't. Donald Trump is garbage. Donald Trump is human garbage. We should not be surprised that Donald Trump said or did something crazy. But he did something to me that was crazy even for him. We found out that there is footage of Donald Trump literally calling Kamala Harris the B word. We got to talk about this, but I know people are going to say that I'm making this up or that I'm exaggerating or the audio wasn't what you thought you heard. So we got some pretty clean audio. I want y'all to hear it for yourselves.
With the debate the other night.
Oh, amazing.
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and?
I'm gonna rewind that for y'all.
It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him. They can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out, right?
So that video obviously was recorded right as Biden was stepping down. People saw the video earlier, but people could not hear the audio. And of course, Trump denies it, just like Trump denied calling certain countries shithole countries in Africa. This is literally what people have been saying, that Donald Trump, when no one is listening, when he thinks no one is listening, this is how he sounds. Rashundra just wrote in and said the same thing. This is how they talk to each other when they think no one's listening. What you think they say about your black ass, Tim Scott? What you think they say about you, Nikki Haley? Right? I want y'all to know that too, just in case y'all forgot. But in this case, there's a few things that Donald Trump does here that's sort of interesting, right? The first thing that Donald Trump does, of course, and the most disturbing thing that Donald Trump does as he's on this golf course, is he is taking credit. What's not the most disturbing? The first most disturbing thing is Donald Trump taking credit for Joe Biden dropping out of the race. He got him out of there. We're knocking him out. So he thinks that he is the reason Joe Biden stepped away. Not completely wrong. That debate performance certainly didn't help. It was the last straw. But please understand, it wasn't Donald Trump's awesomeness that pushed Joe Biden out. It was young progressives. It was young radicals. It was the grassroots that said, we're not voting for you. And those poll numbers, those responses made the public say, wait a minute, this is untenable. And then the Democratic Party behind the scenes, from Nancy Pelosi to Barack Obama to eventually Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they made this happen, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you know, is always going to take credit for things. But he finds out that Biden's out, and now he's licking his chops because he thinks that he's now got a much easier opponent in Kamala Harris. Listen to
that
this.
old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person?
So two things. First, he literally calls her the B word. He literally calls her the B word. There's no disputing it. It's his voice. It's his face. It's him there. He clearly calls her the B word. The level of disrespect, the level of misogyny that we see from Donald Trump is indisputable. Now, I know that there's a whole bunch of people who still going to vote for him, not just despite that, but in some ways because of that. There are people who love Donald Trump's misogyny. They love how much Donald Trump hates women. There are people, black and white, male and female, who are going to actually reward him for that behavior. We saw Donald Trump on tape before talking about grabbing women by the P word. And you would have thought white women would have been outraged by it. You would have thought black women would have been outraged by it. Well, it turns out black women were, and they didn't vote for his ass. But white women closed ranks around their whiteness and chose Donald Trump, even over Hillary Clinton, who was supposed to be their warrior. She was like the ringleader of all Karens. So I can't assume that this video is going to do anything magical to get Trump up out of here, which is my goal, my desire. But it does let you know what kind of person he is. So for some of you out there who secretly think he's a decent person who's principled and just rough around the edges, please know that nobody who says that about her or about any woman is good for America, good for women, good for growth and progress of any nation. But Donald Trump doesn't just call it a B word. He says, can you imagine her talking to Putin? Can you imagine? She's the vice president now. You act like she's going from working at Chick-fil-A to suddenly being president. You're the one, Donald Trump, who had the huge irrational leap from TV star, from reality TV star to president. You're the one who was unqualified and ill-equipped to speak to leaders. You're the one dropping to your knees to shine the shoes of Putin. You're the one who can't actually deal with global leaders in a way that actually produces the outcomes that most people want. You can disagree with Kamala Harris on policy. I think the U.S. policy toward Russia needs work. I think the U.S. policy toward Cuba or Venezuela or Congo needs work. I get it. I get it. But that's not what this is. He's saying, almost by virtue of her womanness, that she's not competent, and her blackness, that she's a black woman, she ain't competent. Can you imagine her talking to these big, tough people? Knock it off. Knock it off. Somebody said Mark is forgetting that the B word is a term of endearment amongst women and gays. Oh, the hypocrisy. Donald Trump isn't among the women or the gays, and Donald Trump was not using it as a term of endearment. Words have meaning, and meanings emerge out of context. Donald Trump wasn't showing love to her. He wasn't saying, "Ah, that's my B word." He was disrespecting her. He was denigrating her. He was downing her. Knock it off, man. Y'all stretch to find the most absurd reasons to exculpate. Good word for y'all. It's been night school. To exculpate Donald Trump off everything. Y'all just say anything up in this motherfucker, man. But anyway, let's keep going. Donald Trump is also in this video doing something else. He says, and I'm playing it over and over again, not to be sensational, but so y'all can hear it, not the B word part. I just want y'all to hear the top of what he said about Vice President Harris.
Down pile of crap.
Yeah,
it's a bad guy. He just quit. You know, he's quitting the rest. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better.
We have Kamala. Kamala, he says. You know why this is interesting? He says her name right. Every single debate, every single interview, every single show, every single piece where you hear Donald Trump's voice, he says Kamala. And all of the Republicans on TV often say Kamala instead of Kamala. He knows how to say her name. This is not a mistake when he says Kamala. It is not an error when he says Kamala. He's doing that to jab at Kamala Harris. He's doing it to jab at the people who know and like her. And the idea is that if you respond by correcting the name, then you're being sensitive. Then you're a snowflake. Then you're caping for this or pandering to that. There is an idea here. He's capable of if he knew her name was Kamala 2 weeks ago, who doesn't know the vice president's name? Then he certainly could say Kamala later, but he does not want to say Kamala Harris. He does not want to say Kamala Harris. He wants to say her name wrong. He also wants her to sound more exotic and foreign. He wants her to be dark and dangerous. And he wants liberals and black people and progressives to complain about how her name is being misrepresented so we can sound sensitive and crazy. That's the idea. And when I debated Uncle Hotep yesterday, again, watch that video on the channel, he also kept calling her Kamala, even though we asked her not to. It is a Republican strategy that clearly is being disseminated even to the low-level schlubs of the party. So please understand, everything Donald Trump does is on purpose, and it is intentional. It is deliberate. He does it for a reason, and the reason is to affect his outcomes. It's that simple, y'all. He wants to win the race. He thinks doing this and playing the white supremacy and playing the misogyny and playing the patriarchy will get him all the way back into the White House. And you know what? It just might work, but it can not work if we stop it, if we organize, if we fight, if we build. We can win.